People rarely notice change while it's happening. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 19th. It's interesting as you see some fairly significant changes throughout the country. And people rarely notice the change, what's going on in New York, the communist socialist people, which we'll talk about more in our commentary. If they're telling you they're trying to do something, they're doing something. And of course, unfortunately, we tend to continue to ignore it and ignore it and ignore it until it's too late to change it. And I think that is a problem when you're looking at a potential socialist, communist takeover. As you look again at the city of New York and you look at other places, it's a coming, and unless we do something about it, it'll be too late to change. And we talked about this a little bit last week, but we're gonna expound upon it a little bit this week. In the meantime, markets got a little bit spanked this week, and earnings season is underway. But we'll talk about that in our market report. Um, Big problem with the toxic wildfires. It's really disrupting the economy. And of course, obviously, if you live in the Midwest, East, it's like living in an ashtray. But there's going to be, I guess, some sanctions on Canada. Again, I don't, I'm not up to the date of all this, but wildfires happen. It's like they happen in California, but we'll see. The University of Michigan sentiment extends bounds from record 46-year low. Now, again, how can the sentiment be good here when you look at the overall picture? Inflation is too high, jobs suck, we have a glut of oil, oil prices are too high, oil companies are making record profits. The average citizen is struggling to live. Okay. So again, how can sentiment be good, and how can we even think about being excited about it? Again, I think it's a problem, another problem that again, unless it affects you badly and directly right away, you kind of ignore it and hope that it goes away. And I think that that's one of the problems we look at. U.S. industrial production disappoints again. So, again, sentiment, production, things are not very good. Okay. Um, Trump had his big meeting or TV spot on Wednesday or Thursday about the election fraud. Now, again, I think there is election fraud. I am in agreement, but I think there's been election fraud forever. But I think the big issue with President Trump and of course the networks. Uh, I don't think that the networks should lose their license, but I do believe they should have aired what the president had to say. And of course, obviously, the media is unfortunately the news medium is not there to report the news anymore. They report their opinion. They're not no longer the outlets that they got the licenses for. They're not the public airways. They're now this is a Democrat airway, this is a Republican airway, and those are things that I think are a concern. So I think Trump has somewhat of a case against them. Again, take a license, I don't know about that, but I think we need to get things back where we're actually reporting the news, not my version of the news or your version of the news. Okay. The Iran war is up to $100 billion and climbing. Again, I've said this, I think, almost every week since it started. If we're going to be there, let's finish the job. Okay. If we're there, let's finish the job. Let's not quit. Again, this waste of money, if Trump did promise to cut the deficit, which has grown into the 40 trillion level now, again, you want to be there, finish the job. Okay. I think that that's a problem. Housing starts rebounded 20%, but they're all multifamily. Again, lower expenses, lower cost homes. We're in a very dangerous position right now with now back to stated income, back to no money down. Again, you have to do the math and the logic behind all this. If somebody is willing to give you something that used to take 10 or 20% down and they're willing to give it to you at no money down, that means that they have too much inventory. Is like a closeout, and they're trying to pass the debt burden on to somebody else. So they're willing to make a lot of sacrifices. That is the closeout business. That is when you go to, it would be compared to going to a Ross's or a Big Lots or those types of stores that buy distressed merchandise. The housing market is now becoming distressed. And that's why we're seeing the same things that happened in the past because they're trying to liquidate inventory because they need to make their payments as well and be able to sell that paper. And of course, that paper will be bundled up again, very much as it was back during the Big Short during 2008. Okay. And we're just at the beginning of this AI bubble, not AI bubble, AI explosion. And of course, Japanese buys millions in NVIDIA Rubin chips to power humanoid robots. So now we're going to go into, you know, anything a robot can do. And I look, I'm all for an advancement in some technology, but I think if we learned anything from COVID, if we learned anything from things in the past, if you take away people's usefulness, okay, and replace them with robots, okay, what are they going to do? Okay, we're not quite prepared for this part of the generation yet to be, uh, you know, unemployed, replaced by robots with nothing to do. It's a problem, in my opinion. Now we'll see how it plays out, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of very, very serious warning signs out there. There's a lot of problems in this country. There's a lot of problems in this economy. And I think that if we're not careful, this is going to get very ugly. And it's going to get ugly faster than you think. And I think we're seeing signs of that starting in the market. And of course, we know that life comes down to two things. One is always money. The other is up to you. But when it comes down to money, that creates a lot of bad battles, a lot of bad blood. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, July the 19th. We're going to stop out here for a break and come back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What up, kids? What's going on? Well, markets got hammered a little bit. We had a quiet week, but had a good week. And of course, remember our daily trade finder? We finally got back in action and made a little money last week. It had been basically closed because there's been nothing to do, but it finally got back in action. But check it out. And of course, don't forget about our sponsors. Trade Your Brokerage. Listen, it's $10 a month. It saves me $100,000 a year in costs and commissions. All of our technology, all of our automation goes along with Trader, the greatest broker we've ever been with for options and equities. And of course, our other partner in the brokerage business, Capital Trading Group, great customer service. They do all of our letter of direction trading, phenomenal broker. And of course, our Joy of Mom investment. And of course, we recommend moms check it out. It's a wonderful site for help and for things you want to look at in our high school program. And again, listen, whatever we do, we try to do to help you better yourself. So check it out. And in the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and our market report. Welcome back. Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, July the 19th. And well, markets took a little bit on the chin. And we've talked about this for the last couple of weeks that we expected to see this happen. But I think now you're actually seeing things break down a little bit. The NASDAQ has broken down now. Again, it could be false breakout. We're not. Again, one thing we don't do is we don't get crazy and say that it's over, that we're going down and never coming back up again. The Nasdaq has broken down, but it broke down a month ago and bounced right back. Things are a little bit different now. We're in the middle of earnings season, not in the middle, the very beginning of earnings seasons, and earnings seasons has been okay, fair to mediocre. Okay. So we'll see. As I mentioned, the expectations are dramatic and huge, and they don't make expectations. It could be ugly. You tie in the economy, you tie in the glut of oil, you tie in what's going on, and it does not create a very pretty picture. So we'll see what it all looks like. But in the meantime, markets were down and were lower, pretty much across the board. Uh, the Dow is still the strongest, which is not necessarily bullish. Along with the Russell, they were both down just a little bit marginally. The Nasdaq was down pretty sharply along as well as the S&P, but Nasdaq was the worst, which of course is what carried us up to this level. In fact, uh, the, uh, the QQQ, okay, is now below 700 again. So we'll see how it plays out. We're a little negative here and a little short, and look to sell into rallies. That's the way I'd be playing this. In the meantime, the dollar is still pretty stable, but you can bet that if the economies start to melt down and there is you see problem in China in Saudi Arabia where they had to sell oil under cost, and the glut that they have, so there is issues, and if you start to see some issue, you're going to see that um, that the dollar is going to be stronger because countries are going to buy dollars to protect because that is still the reserve currency. Euro currency, the euro continues to be in consolidation towards the bottom end. Bonds and notes, uh, pretty flattish for the week, but interest rates are going higher, and I expect to see these fall again, and we'll continue to look to sell them. Bitcoin's still stuck in the range between 60 and 65,000. Gold finally had a pop, but looks like it's going to hold 4,000. That's what it's been holding for the last 3 weeks. So we'll see. We're still long gold. Silver's holding 55. Platinum is holding 1,600. So we'll see. Those are the numbers we're watching. Copper is still in that 620, 630 level. Nothing really to do there. Grain markets continue to push higher. Excuse me. We continue to be long and look for them to continue to rally. Uh, the cattle markets finally started to break, and as we said, we're now down to 224 as we were sellers or attempted sellers at 245 and then 235. The hogs are just hovering around a buck. I'd like to be a seller of hogs here. Nat gas is below $3, nothing to do yet here. And crude had a nice pop last week. Probably a pretty good selling opportunity, something that we would certainly want to look for because again, there's an overwhelming glut. But if you look at crude just in a general perspective, every time there's been a problem with Iran, it's popped up, but it's made a lower high. So it's a reason to believe that it's going to go lower, and that's really how we see the picture. And of course, just be careful. It's still slow. We haven't seen a lot of volume. And let's step out here for our final break and come back with our commentary. Right after the break, Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, July the 19th. Well, kids, just remember our sponsors. First of all, remember Daily Trade Finder, our new product, and of course, our sponsors, Trader Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, The Joy of Mom, and our high school program. And of course, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and our commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz with you. And of course, as I opened up with, people rarely notice change while it's happening. And of course, they told us who they are, and we should believe them. The extreme leftist candidates, including the DSA candidates from past elections, AOC, Tlaib, Khanna, Omar, uh, J-Pel, Booker, Presley, Ayanna, Sanders, and Cori Bush. Plus what we have with Mandami and other now socialist communist people getting elected. Again, I urge you to think about it. Listen, if you want socialism, great, go for it. Okay. I'm not telling you shouldn't have it. I think it's stupid, but hey, that's me. I don't think it works. And socialism only benefits the very wealthy. Okay. Socialism eliminates the chance for anybody else to become very successful. It destroys capitalism, of course, and of course, socialism is right on the borderline of communism. So one's murder, one's suicide, and you're now accumulating more and more of these people that are getting into office. And of course, you think you're getting something for free, but you're not. The taxpayers are paying for it. You're paying it in some way or another. And I think that you have to really give this some serious thought. And of course, unless you're a communist or a socialist, then I can't, then I have nothing to say to you. But from my perspective, I think we're headed down the wrong path. And of course, great empires collapse from within. And I think we're seeing, if this continues, I think this will be the potential collapse of the America that we all know and love. So take that for what it's worth. Everybody have a great weekend. As always, I thank you for your time and I appreciate you watching. And we'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba